Janesville, and welcome back to Park Place Views, the monthly program that aims to keep Janesville residents informed by highlighting the people, places, and partners of the City of Janesville. As always, this program is brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATV Media Services. I'm your host, Amanda Gilbert, Communications Specialist in the City Manager's Office. In last month's episode, former host and assistant to the City Manager, Nick Faust, and I sat down and discussed all things communication in the city and officially passed the torch from one host to another. Today we have a very special episode as we're joined by the new Police Chief in Janesville, Chad Pearson. At the end of November, the Police and Fire Commission unanimously voted to select Mr. Pearson as the sole finalist after a nationwide recruitment and extensive selection process. Chief Pearson joined the agency in 1998 and has also served as sergeant and lieutenant during his time with the department. Mr. Pearson has a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. He's a graduate of the FBI National Law Enforcement Academy and the UW-Madison Command College. Thanks for joining us today, Chief Pearson.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, we're so excited. Before we start, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Wow. Well, I'm a transplant to the City of Janesville. I'm not originally from here, but right out of college, I started my career right here in the City of Janesville in 1998 in January. From a family standpoint, law enforcement is kind of the genetic makeup. I'm a third-generation police officer in my family, so super excited to be a part of family tradition. Well supported, obviously, from them as well. I chose to leave the state of Illinois and come to the great state of Wisconsin, and Janesville has been an incredibly wonderful community to me. I've served in many different capacities for the agency, from a field training officer to the first development of our street crimes unit, which is our drug, gun, and gang unit. When Chief Neil Mahan came here, he developed this unit, saw that there was a drug and gang problem in our community and wanted to take a direct effort after it. And my career has just developed from there. I left the street crimes unit and became a sergeant and worked on a patrol for a while. Worked on a few projects here and there, our domestic violence intervention team being one of them. And no, it's been great. I even had a chance to go back and actually supervise the street crimes unit as a sergeant. So then, yeah, lieutenant and deputy chief, and now made it to the chief position, and humbled by all of it.
A lot of feathers in your cap, for sure.
Well, yeah, I guess, so to say. Yes, there are a handful of feathers, I guess, so to say, with there, but no, and none of it was done alone. I mean, I've worked with some incredible people not even just in our community, but within our law enforcement agency, and I would be hard pressed to not, recognize my mentors along the way. Chief Moore, obviously, my entire career, he was on my hiring panel when I got hired.
Wow.
And he's got a park named after him. I mean, this is like the highest level of law enforcement to reach, his status, but to fill his shoes is surely an honor. But man, many of my coworkers, even those that I've supervised have helped me along the way. And I think just that open communication line with all of those that I work with, taking on, seeing their views and talking to them, has really guided the direction of my career in a lot of different ways. And I've met some incredible people.
So speaking of your career, obviously, that's kind of why we're here today. You've been with the City of Janesville Police Department for 25 years now. Yep. I want to start at the beginning. Why did you decide to enter into a career in law enforcement?
So, again, it's the genetic makeup, third-generation police officer, and my true idol in life is my dad. Oh. And I just remember being a kid and seeing him come in the house for lunch, and he'd have on his uniform, and I'd hear the creaking of the leather belt and the keys jingling on his belt, and I just admired it. You just felt secure, and I loved that feeling. And my dad was a rather large human being in general, so he was a force, but he was also intelligent and could speak well, and just people respected him, and I sensed that early. I got a double bonus too. My mom also worked in law enforcement. She was a radio dispatcher as well.
Wow.
So I had that connection growing up. And why the City of Janesville? When I was at Whitewater, the head of the sociology department was a Janesville native. And I used to do tutoring for some of the students with disabilities at Whitewater. And outside of his door was the posting for the Janesville Police Department opening. So I sat and talked to my advisor at the time, and he actually drove me here and got my application the day before it was due. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, kind of a funny story. And I turned it in 5 minutes before the expiration of it. So I nearly missed my opportunity, right? So, and ever since then, it's just like I said before, it's just been an amazing experience from there forward. And it's such a growing community, and the organization itself, from a law enforcement standpoint, has a diverse amount of options that we can start working with, not just promoting, but our domestic violence intervention, our SWAT, our mobile field force, our honor guard, our crisis intervention teams. All of these components that all compile together it gives you a well-rounded view of how to actually work in law enforcement and not just do the day-to-day grind of just calls for service. And Janesville, and I can tell you this from many of the other supervisors and chiefs that I've talked to across the country, we are very ingrained in the community and work very closely with them. And sometimes people look at me kind of funny, like, what are you talking about? You actually get along that well with your community? And it's like, it shocks me that they don't. So it's kind of the other way around. So Janesville's just awesome. It's been a great place in general, and my family lives here, so.
Can't beat it.
Nah,
you really can't.
Not a chance, not a chance. I mean, and we got Park Place views.
Right.
I mean, one of the best TV programs on the planet, right?
100%.
Great new host.
And a great new chief.
Right?
Look at us
go. Rookies.
But during your time with the JPD, we've talked about you've taken a lot of different hats on. You've done a lot of different roles. How do you think that your past experience will help you succeed as the new chief?
That is a really good question.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, it's going to help me in a lot of different ways. I've seen a lot of development in our community, and with that, we became more community oriented and community engaged. We see ourselves as a part of economic growth within the community, because I mean, realistically, communities grow and thrive and prosper because of education, housing, and protection or safety. So, and I want to include my friends at the fire department there as well, a part of public safety. But reality is like, I think my experiences and the trainings that I've had over the years and the connections that I've had network-wise, for example, with the FBI National Law Enforcement Academy, I have people across the world that by an app I can ask a question to and get an answer back. And I utilize those resources quite frequently. So where I'm at is I already have a relationship with the community. Like I said, I've been here since 1998, and I have a really close relationship with those that are working within our organization, and my experiences and my connections with those within our organization and community-wide, and the partnerships that we've already established with our business districts and some of our community partners, is just going to continue to grow and facilitate further growth for the community and improve law enforcement efforts.
And within that, then, you've taken all of these different roles and you're excelling your career as chief. What made you want to take the jump and apply to be chief of police?
I've always admired leaders, like people like one of the first questions were like, why in Janesville? Well, my true hero in life is my dad. And I just admired, he was humble, and people like to follow, a genuine person that is humble, admits when they've made an error, but then also doesn't repeat it. They learn from it and grow, and then they share their growth with others around them to help facilitate additional growth. So what drew me into a leadership role in general was I just like to help mentor others and generate their growth. I like the responsibility. I like the challenges. Let's be realistic. We like to be challenged. There's a little stress that comes with it, but those are moments in my situation where I typically thrive, and the mitigating an exigent circumstance. Those are always moments that I always like. I feel like I'm on at that point. Like I really can focus and come up with solutions and answers. But to go to the chief level, it's a whole nother level in general. So to give you a true answer to that end of it is, my family lives here. That we shop here, we eat here. I have 5 children. I mean, my oldest is 12, my youngest is 4, and I'm going to be here a really long time. And no better way to be the chief and, you know, to work as a contributing member to the community and its growth and its safety. I just, I can't, I mean, that's my drive right there. And to work for guys like Dave Moore and Keith Lauber is a retired lieutenant from years ago that I always admired. Danny Davis is a retired deputy chief that I always admired. Deputy Chief Terry Sheridan. All of those are guys that help facilitate my growth and development. And I've always taken little nuggets of things that they've taught me to build up to where I'm at now. So, and I thank all of them, and I'm sure there's many others too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about the community and loving being here with your family and watching it grow. And you touched briefly also on the mutual trust and respect that the police department has with the community. But that's not the case with every city that we have. So, you know, in Wisconsin and throughout the state, how do you plan on keeping that respect and the foundation so solid?
Transparency. We got to get out there. I mean, what we're doing right now is one level of that. We're in a digital era, and we have to get our message out there. So that relationship needs to be established face-to-face. Even on some of the what seem to be the simpler issues, we need to address those things directly and head-on. Regular meetings and conversations with our community partners are necessary, and also engage with them in being a team. Having them help us correct some of the community issues that are starting to develop around here. I mean, with growth, this is going to bring on other challenges, and we're going to need resources from our community partners throughout our businesses, our churches, you know, any of the nonprofit organizations that we have around here. So I think direct conversations with them, letting them know who I am and where I stand, and just the same, pose the question to them, what can we do better? And I mean, that's a hard question to ask sometimes, because sometimes the feedback gets a little uncomfortable. But, you know, how do you correct what's wrong when you don't know what's wrong without asking the question? So I'm definitely open to hearing constructive criticism when needed. And as a team, Janesville Police Department as a team, we'll definitely use that as information to be able to grow.
Nice. And speaking of keeping that line of communication open, is there anything you wish people knew about what it's like to be a police officer?
Yeah, that when we take off the uniform, we're actually real human beings underneath there. Yeah, it's, you know, and we engage in day-to-day activity just the same as everybody else. We are not perfect. We will miss things at times, and we do wear many feathers or hats and try to take on different challenges, and we might not have the answer to it right away, but rest assured, and I guess the biggest message I would like the community to fully understand for us is that each and every one of our officers in our agency is doing the absolute best that they can. I have talked to them. I see them in the hallways. I mean, and you get to see the real person sometimes in those moments where they can, you know, exhale, so to say. And, you know, they're all happy with what they do. They're excited to be a part of the community. They're excited to be able to make a difference. And even though not every day do we get a thank you or a wave or any of that stuff, but when we see kids playing in a park, or, you know, a family walking down a sidewalk, or, you know, an event going on in the downtown, I mean, those are all of our thank yous, and we appreciate that because we're contributing to that for that to happen. So, I mean, it's really, you know, we're human too. We're going to make some errors.
And I think what you touched on is one of the most important things, having a team that is driven by making a positive difference in the citizens' lives. And if a citizen needs help in any capacity, how would they get in touch with local law enforcement?
Email, phone call, come to the Janesville Police Department lobby. All of those are ways that people could easily do it. I mean, our Facebook site, we're developing it. We're getting it more, we're bolstering it. We have some very creative officers, supervisors in our organization. We have a resource available to us within the city, right? And even Nick, Nick Faust, can't forget about him. I mean, if we need advice, we have resources to go out for social media assistance. And I mean, they can reach out in any way. Would I be immediately available? I'll try to make myself available, but our deputy chiefs, our lieutenants, our sergeants, our officers, they're all well trained, and we make it a point to make sure that those opportunities are made available to each and every one of them. We will try to help as best as we can. Reach out in any way you feel appropriate. So even on Facebook, we've gotten messages and questions asked. So yeah.
And on Facebook right now, we're running posts about different openings, recruitment campaigns, trying to get the empty police officer roles filled. How, aside from social media, obviously, how does JPD get the message out to potential officers that we have these openings?
So we use our own officers by word of mouth. We've done job fairs at some of our local universities, some of our tech colleges and things. We have a close relationship with Blackhawk Technical College. We go down there quite a bit. If there's anything, they have any recruits that are not connected to any law enforcement agencies, we'll go down there and try to talk to them and chat them up a little bit, try to get them a ride along. We have a cadet program, which is an early development program for our teen, younger or middle teen, the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old range that can do some work with our agency, help us out with some of our special events, try to facilitate that growth and interest in wanting to get into law enforcement and serve the public in a different capacity. But I mean, our greatest recruiter, honestly, are our officers. I mean, going, out and talking to their friends and their friends' family and, engaging with some of the kids in the community. And it's kind of a slow pull. I mean, every agency across the country right now is struggling to develop that interest and increase the number of those who apply for the position.
Yeah.
I mean, when I applied, there was like 285 people at the test.
And now you're getting...
I mean, the last test that we had 22 people show up.
Wow.
For it. I mean, it's a smaller or condensed hiring process, but I mean, it's 22, and that's actually a high number.
Right.
Comparing it to some of the other agencies, same size as Janesville, or even bigger.
That's crazy. But if someone is interested in applying, how would they go about doing that?
Well, the City of Janesville's website has our job posting on it. We have a link posted on our Facebook site. There have been a few nixels that have been sent out, which goes to emails and also on social media. And clicking on that link and then following the steps that are already on there, prepare a resume and a cover letter and upload them onto there. And our Sergeant Benji Thompson runs all of our recruitment and part of our hiring process. He'll reach out to him, and he is Johnny on the spot for us. As soon as he sees or gets a name, he's sending messages and texts and stuff, because we want good qualified people to work for our agency for a growing, budding community.
Yeah. And once you recruit them, you want to retain them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that becomes a little bit of a challenge, but again, like we focus on making sure that we're training our officers to perform their job at the best that they possibly can. So we will provide them the training, and we have great quality equipment, and we will provide them with the appropriate equipment. And it's just a different environment than some other agencies where they kind of send you out there. You say your oath, they give you a little bit of orientation training, and they put you in a squad car with a field training officer for, anywhere from 10 to 14, 16 weeks even at a time. Our systems are all balanced out in a way that we are building officers to be successful. We are not looking to develop failure for our officers. So like the fear is, well, what do I got to do when I first start? Well, you got to meet your mentor, because we have a mentoring program that when you come in, we will introduce you to a person that's in our organization right now that is not evaluating you. They're your friend. They're going to help you out, in your personal life, for, social living environments, that kind of stuff. They'll help guide that end of it. They'll introduce you to the internal climate of our organization, and then they'll help facilitate, ways to be able to improve the way you perform your job.
I think that's huge. Having someone there for you whenever you need them to help guide you through your new role and whatever challenges might arise. I think that really is key in helping keep someone happy and around without feeling like they've been judged for being new or whatever else you can think of.
Well, and I remember first coming to Janesville and not knowing the orientation of the city, and it was intimidating. Now I'm going to be a law enforcement officer, and I got to know my way around.
Right.
And it was a little scary. I mean, I'll admit that. And I mean, now you can call up your mentor, who is not your field training officer. These are two separate people, and they'll go out. And I know some of our mentors that have taken some of our new hires out for dinner or lunch, and their significant others are engaged in conversation. So they get into that social environment. And I mean, when you feel at home, you want to stay at home, right?
Right.
You know, and that's what we want people to feel like when they come to to work for the Janesville Police Department.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking through this hiring process and you have your applications, what qualities do you think make up an excellent officer?
A resourceful individual, person that thinks on their feet, willing to take on challenges, even in uncomfortable situations that they're not quite familiar with. But the biggest one for me is a problem solver. Like, I've used this analogy before where we can put small Band-Aids on large wounds, but they're still going to bleed. We don't want that. We want to bandage the whole, we want to put a full dressing on that thing and make it go away. So what I mean by resourceful and problem solving then is that person that can realize there's a problem, identify what the core problems are, and then be resourceful enough to get community partners and assistance to be able to solve it. And either A, make it go away, or at least reduce a concern for it. And a lot of times it's facilitating and redirection that's necessary. It's not always leads to an arrest.
Speaking of redirection, I want to bring this full circle. We started our interview off asking you why you wanted to be a police officer to begin with. Now that you've gone through your career and you're chief of police, if time were to reset completely and you started all over, would you enter this profession again?
Yes, I would. Absolutely. It's been rewarding along the way. I mean, I can't say it was all, rainbows and, flowers and things, but I mean, you're challenged, and there's some days that that takes a toll on you. But I would definitely do it over again. And to be where I'm at and have that opportunity to help share what I've learned with others so they can improve and move forward with it. I mean, there's been such a shift in culture from the day that I started to now where, I mean, no fault to anybody that I previously worked with in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, when you were having a hard day, you just didn't say anything. And now we're really focused on officer wellness and, that the impact of the cumulative stress that our officers are experiencing, because they are human under the uniform. And we want to focus on that officer wellness component. We want to facilitate our officers to be able to take on, hey, I'm having an off day. Can I take on a different assignment? We even have wellness checks that we offer up so our officers can go disengage for a bit with a professional to help them cope with some of the stresses that we start to develop. And albeit most of them are, they're just kind of decompressing a lot of things, but they come back refreshed. And I mean, if they're content and happy and, with themselves, they're going to be that much more productive in the community. And
you're content and happy. You're going to stick around.
I'm here for a long time. Yeah, like I said, five children, oldest 12, youngest 4. I'm going to be around for quite a little while. And like I said, being a proud parent of 5 children, and all of them are very loving to me. I hope they look at me like I looked at my dad, and that's very motivating. And between my faith and my family, those are the 2 greatest drives that I have in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that just about does it for us, Chief Pearson, today. Thank you so much for coming on the program and officially being my first guest.
All right. This is going to go down in history, right? Well,
it's huge.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much. No, this has been a blast. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I want to thank our viewers and residents as well for tuning in today and for all you do to help make Janesville a community of choice to realize life's opportunities. I invite you to stay connected with the city by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, signing up for emergency information notifications from the JPD via the Nixle app, and signing up to receive our weekly city press releases by visiting janesvillewi.gov/email lists. For Park Place Views and the City of Janesville, I'm Amanda Gilbert. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next month.